such a wonderful job, and we're all entertained. And you're going to be talking about cyber incident response, real world and real
real world consequences.
Yeah, consequences.
Yeah, the impact.
The impact. Are you ready?
Always.
Ready. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, founder and CEO of Cyber Team 360, Mr. Oren Elimelech. Make some noise. Come on. Elimelech. Is it Elimelech, right?
Elimelech. You spelled it out correctly.
Amazing. Elimelech. Let's go.
So, how are you, everyone? So, thank you for indulging me in your time here in the last few hours of the conference in GISEC Dubai and Emirates. So, first of all, on my behalf, thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for coming here. It has been my pleasure to perform here for you. Not accustomed to such a stage, but still, let's make the best of it. So, my name is Oren Elimelech. I'm the CEO and founder of Cyber Team 360, a cybersecurity firm out of Israel. We're dealing with incident response and incident management. And what I'm going to tell to you today is about incident response, several incidents. I've done this presentation yesterday, so I'll try to deviate a bit from the normal plan and give you some of my insights to complementary other people that have not been here yesterday, but people that have already been here. So, I'm 46 years old, I'm a founder, I'm a research associate in the International Counterterrorism in Israel dealing with cyber incidents. I used to manage the Ministry of Transport for 8 years on a government level, and this is my background, and this is how I founded the company. So I'm also working for Weizmann Institute and other companies, mostly on, I guess you guessed it right, cyber incident response. So that's what we do, and as a company, we're a cybersecurity boutique company for out of Israel. Dealing with incident response, we do the overall crisis management. It means we look at end-to-end, not just the technology part, and there's great technology partners that we've been working with for many, many years, but dealing with the end-to-end, the legal perspective, crisis management, working and talking to the board of directors, senior management, dealing with negotiations, ransomware negotiations. We managed to lower fees from millions to 50,000, even lower. So we're doing everything with the threat actors and also PR public relations end-to-end. The entire crisis management from a focal point of view end-to-end. That's what we do as a company, and that's what our goal is. We have offices globally, and in Israel, Europe, Brazil, we're expanding. So I'm going to tell you, we're in a different weather now. This is Texas, Houston, last February. One of the biggest incidents that has happened in 2021. And what has happened is that due to a malfunction, okay, 100 people died and almost 4.4 million people were left without electricity for a few days because of an outage, a regular outage that had nothing to do with cybersecurity. So why am I saying this? Because this happened actually in recent May, just 3 weeks ago, in an incident called Colonial. Colonial Pipeline provides the biggest U.S. provider for pipeline gas in the U.S., in the U.S. And they were hacked. And I can tell you from experience, I used to work with the GISEC, that Colonial Pipeline didn't have a cybersecurity assessment for more than 3 years. Okay? Because business has other agenda. They need to worry about delivering gas, pipeline electricity. So they didn't have time to manage cybersecurity. But guess what? It knocked on their doorstep on the 6th of May. And that wasn't happening. That made major headlines. Okay, they provide 5,550 miles of pipeline. And there's a whole chain of supply chains from pipeline gas leaving. And that is managed by Ministry of Transport in the USA, okay, under the TSA, Transport Authority. And that was one of the biggest headlines in the US, 6-day outage. Okay? And the only way they got out of it, that they paid a ransom. They paid 75 Bitcoin, the currency value, on the 10th or 11th of May. They paid, and they got a bad key, a faulty key, that took days to open to decrypt the file, to decrypt it. And this has been a major headline all over the Washington Post, New York Times, everywhere. And this is just an articulation of an example of a cyber incident. Okay? Try to think about it. Let it resonate in your head. What is the impact? The impact is immense. This is something we need to comprehend and think about it. What are the magnitude? And that has been one of the major incident that has happened in the last few weeks. And for example, we had a similar incident, not as big as this, but it affected 12 data centers around the world. 12 plus thousand of servers, okay? A big company, traded, it's a company that's under regulation, it has a stock value, everything. If you think about the impact, having 5,000 employees not working, okay? The scale is roughly about $1 million a day not working. So this is some of the things that we manage in a company. Now, supply chain electricity, this is the entire threat landscape that they are facing. Because you've got the production, transmission, and distribution. And guess what? Nobody's actually mandatory regulating colonial pipeline. Okay, there is the FDRC, okay, the Federal Electricity Guidance, and guess what? They're not mandatory, they're voluntary. Okay? And yes, for other electricity, specifically in energy, there's the EDRC, the North American NERC, but they are not part of that. So there's no regulation. So they wrote a letter on May 19th saying, following the incident, we want to be regulated, help us. We want you to guide us mandatorily. So for the time being, this is not a big in the Senate, in the Congress, but TSA has stepped over and said this needs to be mandatory, but again, the US takes time. But this is an example of something that can happen everywhere. Even here, in Dubai and in other places, in regulating cybersecurity on organizations. And in the end, they want to reach this. They want to have the entire supply chain, the production, the delivery, the transmission, everything guided, not only in physical terms, but also in cybersecurity. Because in the end, cybersecurity materializes its impact on real business aspect. Operational downtime, damaging your reputation, damaging the image of the business. That's what our bosses, the organization, are worried about. Cybersecurity is just a term. So we need to think about it and turn the entire conversation from cybersecurity to operations. And that's what's important. So the group that the threat actor that actually attacked the role models of DarkSide. And DarkSide has been mostly unknown. Before this incident, nobody actually heard about DarkSide. And following this incident, they actually went almost out of business because that attracted too much attention. It attracted attention to their activity. Why? They stepped on too many fingers. They stepped on the toes, on the wrong toes. And because of that, the government in the US stepped in and seized their infrastructure, the blogs, their Bitcoin wallets, so they lost everything. And this is the notice that they published saying, hey guys, we're out of business. But guess what? That actually led to a different problem. Because now, they have affiliates. Most of the threat actor groups are not working directly. That model is shifting. DarkSide made $60 million, okay, in 7 months. In halfway, they made $60 million out of attacks. Most of the attacks are either asking for money for ransomware decryption and data leakage. And I can tell you that over 70% of the attacks are involving data leakage. And so you pay double. You pay for the decryption and you pay for me not releasing the data. Okay, that's a business damage, reputation. So 46 million came from affiliates. And guess what? Who's making the affiliates? I want to become an affiliate. Hey, want to become an affiliate? How about you? Become an affiliate? Why not? It's good money. So, yes, this is a problem. This model is called ransomware as a service, and it's really easy. Okay? It's cost a few $100, that's it. And you have to be on the bot with updates, and then you only need to decide who you're going to attack. And now, all these affiliates didn't get any money. So guess what? Hey, waiting and holding. So guess what? They want their money because they worked hard. But again, because nobody vetted who they were, they attacked the woman, and that became a problem. That became something that they didn't want to attack such a big, high-profile organization. If I was dark side, I'd say, hey, we're going to attack. And I can tell you from my experience that in a recent incident that we were involved in about 2 weeks ago, we had a ransomware as a service model. We knew the threat actor worked as a ransomware as a service. And guess what? We negotiated the ransomware. We worked with the legal perspective. We dealt with the reputational matter, everything. And we lowered the fee and we paid the money. Okay? We dealt with everything end to end. And then he said to us, I need some time. What do you mean? Business is out of business, it's not working. Every hour counts. Time is of an essence here. So it took him almost 3 days just to give us the decryption because he had to go back and say he's an affiliate. So that actually changes the ballgame. Because even though I have, I know who the threat actor is, and I can substantially say he's going to honor because it's a financially driven business. Because there are affiliates involved, it might not work. So that changes a lot of the negotiation, a lot of the incident response that deals with that. How do I know he's going to honor this? So most of the times, it's 95% of the time that we work with was financially driven. Okay, sometimes there's auto motivation, country level, damage, sabotage, there's other things involved. But most of the time, 90%, 90+, it's financially driven. And this actually took some time. And those affiliates do not follow the code of ethics. They do not behave properly. And that is something that we need to think about when we are working with affiliates, even in ransomware business. So there's many multiple complaints, and this is Russian, but I've translated to you, saying, okay guys, we have a complaint about you. Okay, we want to receive our funds. Okay, and there's a lot of chatter in the dark net and blogs regarding dark side. And if somebody's too much making noise, they can shut it down. So it's a whole different component. So I wanted to take the last few minutes to talk about trust. So here, for example, in the UAE, we know, and I've structured, I teach in the academy for the last 16 years. I've taught over 1,000 CISOs globally. And how much do we trust our employees to do the right thing? Do they understand what is a cyber threat? So most of the time, they don't. But so it's a misconception. Over the global average is almost 60% that they understand. And guess what? If you would have come to me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, that number would have been a lot lower. So it's rising. And yes, we need to invest in our employees. We need to educate them more because they're part of this. And they're part of the statistics. And recuperating on the statistics in the last 2020, there's a lot of risk. It's rising more and more. Ransom has become a de facto. It's not a matter of if you're going to be a breach, it's when. It's a matter of time. And the increase in 2020, comparing to former year, has been 150%. And the number of attacks is growing by almost 65%. And guess what? 23 days out of business downtime. It's an average. And it's growing gradually from year to year. Most businesses that we've dealt with falls within a few days to a month, depends on the size. We have even more, but 23 days. And there's multiple hacks. This is a website that I recommend highly to learn. It's called Information is Beautiful, world biggest data breaches. But looking at the statistics, you can actually see that it's growing every year for the last 4 years at a steady pace of almost 40%. Okay, that's huge. And this is showing to you that this is something that you need to take into consideration in your day-to-day business. Okay? And the motivation is money, 86% of it. So there's a lot of technology here that you can use, but in the end, it's a matter of using it correctly. And that's what me, as a founder of Cyber 360, is looking to help various customers. Here is yourself, maybe educate you a bit more, but try to lower your exposure, your vulnerabilities. So again, I'm not trying to teach you anything, I'm just making sure that you understand the magnitude. And there's an average ransom for $250,000. And I've left a really short time. 10 minutes, right? or even two minutes. Thank you for giving me so much time. But again, it's rising immensely from time to time. And I just want to go to the end. Okay? So there's multiple tools being used. And knowing the weapon of choice used by an attacker helps you as a blue team protect yourself. Understand what they might use to attack you. And having the right understanding of what they use, and 5 tools out of this are actually legitimate tools. So there's multiple partners that we at Cyber Teams are working with. We call the Future, CrowdStrike, Checkpoint, Cisco, FortiGate, Rapid7, SentinelOne. Again, we work with them because they're very trusted providers and vendors. But again, it's having the right tool with the right process and technique to combine it together. Again, that's what this company we're trying to achieve. And vectors are mostly exposed software vulnerabilities, email, phishing, targeted ones, RDP exposure. We've seen that multiple times. And I'm going to share with you something regarding statistics. Attacked by year? No. Is this? This is a reference model that we've seen multiple times. And this is something that I drafted. And in this attack that involved 12,000 servers, he managed to now, by taking use of an exposed RDP asset. And by having this, he managed to get inside, download more tools, and communicate outside, exfiltrating data. And then he did a double extortion. Today, by the way, it's even moving through triple extortion, having 2 threat actions at the same time, selling the doorstep to your infrastructure. Okay, so as a reference model, that's what we saw. And he actually asked for double decryption, double extortion. One for the data leakage and one for the decryption key. So we combined the deal, to lower the fee and have it one time. So these are popular vulnerabilities that you should take notice that we've seen in incidents, and having minimized those is very, very critical. So this is the last hours. You're welcome by our booth. This is our face is based out of this 861 R2, and we give playbooks. They're in our booth of Cyber 360 regarding each and detailed step. So we're welcoming you and hoping to work with any one of you. And again, negotiation can be said. Never negotiate out of fear. It's important, but never fear to negotiate. My name is Oren Elimelech. I'm out of time. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate the time that you've given me. And thank you, Dubai. Thank you, GISEC. And thank you, everyone. It's been my honor.
All right, give him a big round of applause. That was really incredible. Mr. Oren, thank you so much. Founder and CEO of Cyber Team 360. Come on, you guys, a little bit more right now. 1, 2, 3. Give it up one more time. Yellow.